Welcome, Sojourners. This is Jonathan with Sojourners Awake. This is part 2 of our episode Onward and Upward, Towards the Prize. In this episode, it has become clear that the character, the dwarven fighter and druid, Felthran Grovelore, has been afflicted with the abyssal corruption by the demonlord Yenigu. Just a fair warning, this episode is a little gruesome. I get very descriptive with this abyssal corruption, involving quite a bit of disgusting aspects and features. In my day job, I am a nurse, so oftentimes I do discuss what I consider normal features of grossness, while some people, it's not the best thing to talk about over dinner. And so just fair warning, if you are a little queasy, it does get pretty gross around like minute 20 to minute 30. Hear me out though. My reasoning in doing this is, maybe it's being a nurse, maybe it's been in intervention situations, but addiction can be really disgusting. And that's really what I'm trying to exemplify here. This is someone who walked into something really bad, and friends who try to help him out. And, it happens. And it can be really disgusting. It can be really gross. But the story is not to be gross. It's not meant to be gross. It's meant to show what happens when someone's in trouble, watching how their friends gather around to help them. And that's the most important thing. So I meant to paint it as a grisly, gruesome scene because I really want to also showcase the power of friendship and stopping everything in its tracks to help out a friend. That's my fair warning. But anyway, may your story continue.
I think we should try to travel. I don't know that there's any safe place for us to camp, so let's start heading towards where the sword's supposed to be. Let me see that map again.
Right out.
And as Zarion finishes the last touches, you hear the engine begin to spark again and rumble safely with the fuel line intact, the demon ichor still present. You got quite a couple hours of drive time available. The hood is slammed and the humans trapped back inside. Felthran, as you and Bramble begin looking over this map, you see the insignia of Bell, in which he indicated in the middle of the wasteland the location of Angel Strike, not but 3 hours away.
Let's go that way.
And who among you drives the distance?
Felthran does.
Zarion, you find that Felthran's in the driver's seat. Felthran, would you make a survival check followed by a strength check or athletics for survival and athletics? It's pretty. Yeah.
Oh no, that's not good.
Really? Okay. Put on our creative caps here. Felthran, you're sitting in the driver's seat. The engine starts well enough, and as you look through the cracked windshield, with each of you in your respective positions, with Stormbite gone, each of you could easily fit inside, though the smell of wet dog still slightly permeates the upholstery in this cabin. Felthran, as you look through the cracked windshield over into the horizon, you get your bearings, look down at the map, and look back up and see a large knoll staring back at you. Its face flashes in the window, pressing you back up against your seat, and you feel your hands gripping tighter and tighter on the wheel. And suddenly, the craving for flesh begins to fill your body, and you hear a voice. It's time to eat. It's time to eat. And the engines begin to rumble off, all of you unaware of this transpiring in Felthran. Felthran, as this madness is taking over, this uncontrollable desire, upon your next action, you must consume flesh until you are full. And given Felthran's appetite, that will take a long time. In the middle of the wastelands of Avernus with hay on the outskirt, well, hay is actually inside with you, Bramble. I would like in this, if you imagine two up front pilot and co-pilot seats, and then 3 in the middle, and then 3 in the back, the furnace being in the back. Where would your respective positions being, given that Felthran is driving? Anybody in co-pilot? Shotgun.
Bramble is unfortunately probably navigating.
Yep, Bramble's shotgun. Who's in the middle seat? I'm gonna put Hay right behind Felthran.
I'd be in the middle seat because I think Zarion would be relegated to the back.
Yeah.
Zarion, you're in the back by yourself with the furnace burning. You can't really hear anything that's going on.
And we do still have the pig flesh with us.
That was the question I was going to ask.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is Felthran driven to eat one of his companions, or can he eat that pig that's sitting right outside the vehicle?
As with many things, it didn't count on everything possibly being there. However, that pig flesh is, as I said, strapped to the back. It's bungee tied on the bumper. You can still smell its sticky blood in the wind. Rather than clamping upon Bramble instantaneously, I will allow you a wisdom saving throw. It's going to be very difficult, but there's a chance you might just go for the raw flesh.
25.
That's enough. Felthran, please describe how you go for this meat.
So the engine's revving, and Felthran's about to take off, and then all of a sudden you see him grip the seat, and he's going to yell, "There's a gnoll on the front of the bus! Somebody get him!" And he's going to jump out the door, but instead of getting the gnoll, he's going to run to the back and just start eating that pig. So you guys are going to see him disappear.
Yeah, with the exception, Zarion, you haven't heard this, but everyone else has. Felthran just opens the side door and begins climbing along the railing of this dune buggy, stepping upon the spinning tire, 90 miles an hour, tearing down this. We need to roll initiative, honestly. So let's do it. Felthran, you're at the top of the round.
I got a 24 anyway.
I got a natural 1.
9 for Bramble. Okay. Garen Dan's in the back. Hay's gonna be just in the background. Zarion, what'd you get?
I rolled in 1. That's a 6 for me.
Garen Dan, what'd you get?
So I'm dead.
Oh, I don't
What's
have
your-
any dex, so I just got a straight 1.
Wow. Well, either way.
I'm going to be done eating the pig by the time you guys do something.
All right.
It's bad rolls here.
Yeah, Felthran, you are able to make all your movement on your first. You are already in the back. And you see that pig, its body skinned completely, the blood draining off the side. And upon your first action, you are compelled to eat the pig. You do a strength attack against them, barehanded, with the pig not really contesting anything at all. You're using your turn. All your resources must be used to eat this animal, which is done within 1 action.
You want a strength roll?
Let's just see how scary you are. Yeah.
22.
All right, guys, 22. And then your strength modifier plus 2 damage.
All right, so that's going to be 7 damage.
And then I added plus 2 for the abyssal corruption, so it's 9 damage as you tear into this pig, and you just rip the shoulder right off and just begin chewing upon it, keeping your wits about you, hanging on to one side. Bramble, with no reaction, this thing is just barreling off down the road, the wheel unmanned. Your turn.
Yeah, Bramble's definitely gonna dive across and try to start by grabbing the wheel and then slide into the seat and eventually slow it down, however much he can do.
Okay, athletics check then.
5.
5, unable to do so. You actually grab onto the wheel and it turns alongside of you, slamming your body up against the side of the car, and nearly your feet go hanging out the dune buggy as you hang on tightly to the steering wheel, unable to maintain control of the vehicle. It is still barreling off down the road, and you are not successful at stopping it anytime soon.
Garandan!
You cry out to Garandan. Zarion, it is your turn. You see in the corner window just Felthran go all the way to the back, and then you hear something going on outside in the very back of the car, and Bramble's just hanging outside the window. With no context for what's going on, how do you proceed?
Person's hanging out the window, trying to control the vehicle. Felthran is in the back eating. I don't know what he's doing.
You don't know he's eating, so yeah.
I don't know he's eating, so I don't know what's going on with him. Well, we are traveling at 90 miles per hour. The best option is to go for the wheel.
Okay.
So I bring in the control.
Yeah, the car is difficult terrain as you're having to crawl over Felthran, Garandan, and Hay, just pushing them aside. Bramble is outside of the car, hanging onto the wheel. You have reached the wheel with the rest of your movement. How do you proceed?
Well, I need to pull in Bramble back in. I'm gonna reach and pull him back inside the vehicle, while at the same time trying to get to the steering wheel.
Just go ahead and make an athletics check as you pull Bramble back in. It's going to be a lot lower than trying to control the vehicle.
D20?
Mm-hmm. Plus your athletics?
I would say it's 15 plus 2.
Okay. I was
17.
going for 15. You pull Bramble, you grab hold of Bramble, pull him back in. Where do you place him?
I'll place him into the not in the driver's seat, but I'll place him in the passenger seat. I'm taking over this time.
Bramble, how do you respond to this?
Thank you.
Zarion, you're back in the driver's seat. How do you respond?
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's try to get us to safety. What's going on with Felthran?
Bramble.
He said he saw a knoll. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy or something.
Okay.
He left his warhammer at the side where the stick shift is.
I know he's crazy.
Garandan, how do you respond?
So hearing the cry that there's a knoll, and then how that he's hungry, and saying that he's back there, he's kind of clicking to that moment when he saw Felthran behead that knoll and kind of get all woozy. So I think in Garandan's mind, he knows something's up, and he's just going to feed the beast and create food and water as much as can fill this whole vehicle so that the guy can just glut.
Garandan, just all of Felthran's favorite foods, and I imagine maybe a little bit of raw meat hangs from, this wagon just becomes this meat wagon of just raw food, raw bleeding meat. Felthran, his smell is tantalizing and masks the smell of hinfolk and dwarf. It catches your whiff, and there's a window right where Zarion was sitting beyond the furnace. One of the meats kind of lands back into the furnace and just bursts forth in this barbacoa smell, erupting in Avernus. Beneath this night sky, the wagon now full of meat. Felthran, it is your turn. You must consume the closest meat source.
Well, can Felthran switch meat sources, or is this pig on the back still the closest meat source?
No, the pig is just totally decimated at this point. And
there's
there's this large, huge source of meat that just appeared.
All right, he's gonna climb in the back window, even if he has to go through the window or over the igniters. He doesn't care. He's gonna go straight through that window, and he's going to, if he can get inside, he's just gonna say, "This is mine," and he's gonna start eating.
Yeah, he just punch through the window. You tear through your skin. You take 10 points of damage as the glass just rakes through you. You plop yourself next to Garandan, pushing him to the side. Garandan, your body gets slammed up against the side door, impressed at the power And you get a moment to look into Felthran's eyes. And Ted, when Garandan, with his back up against the wall, your hand extended into his shoulder, keeping him at a distance, what does he see when he looks into your eyes?
Just fierce anger and passion. Just that look like, if you do anything, I'm going to rip your head off. Stay away from me and my food. And he's probably just going to keep pressing into his shoulder or his chest, harder and harder, leaning into it with his one hand as he's got the other hand full of meat and he's eating it. And his eyes are probably darting to the other guys. Like, Garandan's taken care of because he's got his hand on his chest and he can't move. He's going to just keep looking at the other guys like, don't come back here.
Felthran, you use your action surge, and you stuff more meat into your body. Your belly is beginning to swell. Bramble, and back in the co-pilot seat, you can now see Felthran just tearing into raw meat, cooked meats, anything. There's even a couple live animals in here that Felthran has just snapped their necks and begins biting on them. Take a moment to process this, or give an immediate reaction, whatever you feel Bramble would do.
So after Zarion pulled him in and stuck him in the seat and they talked for a minute, he heard Garandan casting a spell, so he looked back to see the result of that, and he's just sort of horrified at Felthran acting like a beast. But after a moment he snaps out of it, because, we're still in an uncontrolled vehicle going 90 miles an hour. So he's gonna quickly scan what's in front of us and try to point out things to Zarion to help him regain control of the vehicle without us crashing into something. Intending to take the help action.
Perfect. Okay, so you quickly see that Zarion is headed right for a petrified forest, and you had your back up against these trees, and you know that they're made of iron. They're not going to be merciful as you tear through them. So you quickly point the other direction for Zarion to make a hard right. Zarion, please make your athletics check to maintain control of the vehicle, and you can do it with advantage.
16.
Plus 2?
Plus 2.
Okay.
18. That's 18.
18 is enough. You tear off to the side, finally able to make control the vehicle, and the iron forest just scrapes along the side, smashing the windows, just tearing through the war machine. As strong as it is, you can tell a lot of the war machines were made from these petrified forests. You're starting to finally get control of the vehicle. So, Zarion, is it your intention to slow it down, or do you want to stay the course?
Well,
you see in the rearview mirror. You see in the rearview mirror Felthran just tearing into this poor creature's neck, chewing it up, and just letting the blood run down his cheeks.
Okay. Is there any ale that can help with that? I know Felthran likes ale.
Yeah, he left his ale right in the center passenger, or right in the center console.
Somebody give this man some ales and calm him down. We need to get to where we need to go. I can't stop.
Zarion stays the course. Garandan, how do you proceed?
So can Garandan still move and speak even with Felthran's hand on his chest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then he's just readying. If he runs out of food, he's gonna cast again. He's got quite a few spell slots.
You keep putting it. You see Felthran reach for your knee, and he's about to just snap your knee off, and magically this pheasant-like creature appears there, and Felthran instinctively lets go of your chest and grabs the bird and just attempts to shove the entire creature in its mouth. Felthran's belly is getting larger and larger. Felthran, now if you would make a wisdom saving throw. Yeah, I see Garandan keeps saying with advantage. Why?
Hero Feast. 24 hours.
Okay, fair enough.
That's going to be a 19.
With advantage, nope. You're still possessed, and you still feel this thing going on. So Felthran, given the circumstance, I would give you a little bit of freedom during this time. Meat still hanging around, Bramble up front. Zarion shouting something about ale. Nevertheless, you keep hearing the voice. No. More. More for you. Not just the blood, but take the blood of innocence as well. And then you begin to get this heat-sensing vision, as if all you can see is just blood. And you begin to see the blood coursing through Garandan, through Bramble's neck, through Zarion's right shoulder. And it pales in comparison to the splattered blood of these dead animals on the ground. I can let you choose, or we can go for random.
He's already eating all of the animals, and Yinagu's saying more. So, yeah, I think we should randomize it.
Garandan's going to be an odd number. Bramble's going to be a 2, and Zarion's going to be a 4. Garandan.
Ready with
All right.
my warding flare, my reaction.
Gives disadvantage on attack, so Felthran, make your attack against Garandan.
Brother, this isn't you.
Strength plus proficiency. That's going to be at disadvantage. It's going to be a 19.
Oh yeah, that is.
Felthran just tumbles on top of Garandan, and just both hands on his shoulder, and he just begins gnawing on your shoulder. The warding flare just seems to blast, but it does not do anything to Felthran. You don't see Ark. You see his warhammer in the console. Bramble, this whole thing seems to have gone just belly up, and it is your turn.
Felthran's going to yell out, "Get me to my sword!" as he's biting on Garandan's shoulder.
Garandan, take 15 points of damage, please.
Brimble had been paying attention to where the buggy was going, assuming that things were going to be well handled back there, but he hears Felthran roar. So he turns to see what's happening there, and will, with the Master of Intrigue feature, he can use the help action from a distance with his words. So he's going to speak in Dwarven to Felthran. He can see that Felthran's insane, so he's going to talk about the entrance hall to Grovelore, just to try to put some sanity back in him. Talking about, I guess, walking through the Hall of Statues of all of the gods and legends of dwarves.
As the dune buggy's barreling down 90 miles an hour, bumps and hits Garandan, you're only glad at this moment that you repaired the wheel. Otherwise, you could have all been knocked over. But yet, would that be possibly a better outcome? You don't know. Everything's moving so fast. And Felthran is just tearing into Garandan and looks back at you, Bramble, with wild eyes and blood, dwarven blood, in his mouth. And you proceed to say a couple things to him. You speak of the halls. You speak of Grovelore's entrance. You speak of the statues of Morden and Clangeddon. You speak of the Lightning King that he has spoken of. You remind him of Ark, the Warhammer, the Dwarven Ale, the greater good. What do you say?
Felthran! He's shouting over the roaring engine, but in Dwarven. So, Felthran, remember your people. Remember everyone you protect. You need to come back. You need to gain control of yourself.
Felthran, you're sitting in a dark room. You're younger, you're naked, you're cold. So cold your hands instinctively draw up around you. Your feet closed in, yet you could feel the stone icy cold cell that surrounds you. And outside this cell, there is a large gnoll standing guard. You hear through the cracks. You hear another prisoner, another cellmate, a dwarven voice, but a different dialect, a different accent. Call out to you. Remember your people. Remember Felthran. Calls your name. And then you hear the gnoll just pound, pound, pound on the door. Keep it down in there. We're eating. You have a moment to respond in this darkness.
Who are you, friend? Where are we?
I said keep it down. And Bramble, you hear a voice in your head.
Felthran, we need you. We need you to protect us.
I want to, but I'm here. Where are you?
We're all around you. We need you to come back to us.
Do you see the gnoll? He won't let me out.
I don't see him anywhere. I don't know how to help you.
I don't know how to help me either.
The transmission ceases. Zarion, it's now your turn.
Why don't we try hitting him with his own hammer? Let's do it the Felthran way.
Okay.
Whack him in the. We are driving in the middle of a thing, and he's currently eating Garandan. We got to get him to stop before he eats. There won't be much of Garandan left. Get the hammer, whack him upside the head, and hopefully it does something. Here, I'll do it. You can take the wheel,
Zarion just lets go of the wheel. Zarion, with no proficiency, you must do a strength check. Just a simple strength check as you swing this hammer wide. It is a high risk, high reward, by the way.
High risk, high reward. 18.
Felthran?
Armor class is 20.
Garandan, you get hit in the side of the head with this lightning warhammer. None of the charge goes off. You just simply take the 5 points of bludgeoning damage as Zarion smashes your good shoulder.
Not going to be good for long.
He's eating me, you're hitting me. Make up your mind, brother.
Speaking of Garandan, it's now your turn. With the battle on both fronts at this point, Bramble just crying into the darkness, Zarion letting go in the wheel and smacking you with the hammer, and Felthran just pushing you off. His head is turned to look at Bramble at this point, and he quickly dodges out of the way of this warhammer, letting you take the hit. How do you proceed?
So Garandan's looking in Felthran's eyes, and he sees what he saw under the hood. That just need, that want, and he tried to give it to him one way, but he loves this man like a brother, and he knows it's not going to end like this. He's got a trick up his sleeve, but he wants to keep Felthran distracted, so he is doing what Moradin told him and just letting him do what he needs to do. But when he kind of gets a little bit low, he's got a trick up his sleeve. So he's just gonna try and like lock eyes with Felthran and just kind of thinking that the more that he eats a dwarf, the more of Moradin he's getting, and hopefully something will kick in.
Felthran, go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw. Between Bramble's crying out to you and Hero's Feast, you get advantage.
That's going to be a 23.
There we go. He broke the line. Felthran, maybe it was Bramble's voice calling out to you, but just for a split second, it seems as if the dune buggy just comes to the screeching halt, and you feel yourself able to communicate. Considering everything that has happened and how you have been feeling, for yes, your body feels everything, and your mind now, just like that wire, makes the connection. And for the first time, it seems like in ages, you're able to communicate. And from that cell, you see, well, what you see here in this dune buggy. As you turn around, not even aware of what's happening to Garandan, you just see Bramble sitting across in the co-pilot seat. And you have a chance to speak. maybe even a chance to act.
So I imagine that Felthran's action, as he dodged his hammer coming at him, Felthran's action would have been to grab his hammer and take it into his own possession. And then as he was going in for another bite, he gained his senses and said, "Why am I back here? What's going on? Something's happening to me, guys. I don't know what's happening. I need some help. So hold me down or something."
So Garandan will grab his beard, smack him in the head, grab his ale. "You need something to wash me down with?"
Felthran, your mind goes back into the Knoll Lord, and you feel someone just grab your brain and pull you in and say, "No, you are my servant now. You breathed in my fumes. You took my head. Now you will pay. You will know the hunger of Yenigu." And you're back to yourself again. You go in for an attack against Garandan, and Garandan, how do you proceed? You smack him upside the head, you shove the ale into his mouth and just poof, pump his cheeks full. Dwarven ale goes spilling out everywhere. You choke and you cough, Felthran. And for the first time, you are gagging and you just vomit out everything. Blood and vomit and ale have just filled this van. It's awful. You thought wet dog was a terrible smell, Bramble. Now this place is just reeking. Felthran, you can't help but even just at that moment grab another piece of meat. And you just, instead, you grab the entire ale skin and you eat your ale skin. It is now gone. With hammer in your hand, Bramble, it is now your turn.
Well, Zarion just left the driver's seat, so Bramble has a task in front of him to try to wrestle this thing down again.
Wouldn't that be ironic? So, Bramble, make your athletics check.
Oh, here we go. 4 this time.
The steering wheel just comes right off, and now you're sitting in the co-pilot seat with the wheel just standing there, and each of you have that moment where you all three make eye contact. Poor Hay has just ducked his head underneath his knees and is just moaning and crying out in agony, trying to just dodge this blood-awful experience. Poor Hay. And then Zarion, you see it, and y'all just crash right into this large rock. Everyone make a strength saving throw. Low number loser.
Now I roll a natural 20.
23.
23 is the high number. Bramble, what'd you get?
19.
Okay.
Rolled 11.
That's what I thought. Garandan?
Garandan used his Blessing of the All-Father, which is a trait he picked up a while ago, for a D10 a day. He still rolled a 4.
Oh, no.
Okay, so Garandan, you are the one that drops to 0 hit points as your body just goes straight through the car and smashes into the rock. But you get a moment to ask for a blessing from the All-Father before your lights are knocked out. How does that appear?
Arden, I know that Felthran is near and dear to you, and I have strayed, but I thank you for the lesson. I wish to continue to serve.
And then lights go out, and Garandan's body, like a projectile, just goes straight through the vehicle. The rest of you are at half hit points, knocked out unconscious on the ground, including Felthran. Roll another Constitution saving throw to see who wakes up first. High number winner. Garandan, no, not you. Bramble, 13. I know who has the high Constitution too. This is scary.
Okay.
Zarion, please wake up first. Felthran rolled a 7. Wait, so Zarion got a 14. And Bramble, what'd you get?
10.
Felthran, you are knocked out cold. Zarion, you awake. The DragonWagon is just sandwiched Fire is licking up all around, gently burning in the darkness of Avernus. You just clearly ran right into a cliffside. Your body is bruised and beaten at half hit points, still miraculously in the driver's seat. The steering wheel is gone, and Bramble's lying upon the hood, clutching the steering wheel. Garandan, you can see, is cast off, lying completely unconscious at 0 hit points. And Felthran is nowhere to be seen. It is your turn. What do you do?
Ooh. Wow. I'm the first one away. Everyone's knocked out. One of them's dead, probably. Woo. My goal, I need to wake everybody. I need to wake the nearest person next to me up.
That would be Bramble.
Bramble. I run over to him. I shake him. I move him about. Slap him a couple of times to wake him up.
And with your action, Bramble, you are now conscious, and it is your turn. How do you respond?
There's a moment of disorientation, of course. He sits up and looks around, sees Garandan. Does he see Felthran?
No.
All right. He will move quickly over to Garandan to see what he can do, but looking for Felthran, because I think in his mind, Felthran is a bigger threat than Garandan bleeding out at the moment. That's the bigger concern.
Funny you should ask. I think I was going to make you do a perception check with a 20, but I think with Bramble's passive perception, you can see it. As you run towards Garandan, you see quickly that he's going to need some stabilization. Quickly to wake him up, at least some smelling salts, something to bring him back to consciousness. But you see Felthran's body has been plastered up against this wall. And in a perfect fashion, he is upside down. 2 large spines he has stuck upon, like an insect on display, hung upside down upon this abysmal, hellish wall. He stands there crucified, with his blood draining down the wall as a display, like a trophy. Some 20 feet up on this cliffside, he hangs there, and he is not unconscious. Wild-eyed, he looks around for more flesh. What would you like to do with your action regarding Garandan?
I don't have anything in my... I'm all out of potions, unfortunately. That'd be the easiest thing. So I think I'll just look for the most grievous wound, the compound fracture, and try to put things back into the shape they're supposed to be in.
Make a medicine check. You're going for a 10 or higher.
Okay. 10.
Garandan, you feel your broken leg just snap back into place, and the sheer shock of it wakes you up with 1 hit point. You have a moment to respond to Bramble.
Felthran, where's Felthran?
He's up there, and it's gross. I don't know if you want to see it.
I can't move very much. What happened?
We hit a cliff, and he's. I don't think he got there from the crash.
Was Zarion driving again?
Well, no one was driving, and that's part of the problem.
Oh. Well, you're the one with the brains right now. We got a plan?
We need to keep Felthran away from us until we can at least get stabilized here.
Garandan, as you stand up, your leg is hurting really bad. You are at 5 feet of movement.
Garandan's gonna cast regeneration on himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you. Yeah, you take that time for your turn, and you begin to just take the necessary steps to regenerate your leg. Within seconds, your movement speed is now back to 25. Zarion, it's now your turn, back in the initiative order. And we're kind of like stepping out of this problem of Felthran hanging up there. He's completely restrained and grappled at this point. You can see he's grievously injured. And yet he is not shaken from his abyssal corruption. Zarion, as you look upon Felthran, if you would make another wisdom saving throw. And I'm going to say just a straight roll this time.
26.
Or Zarion, you see it first as you survey this this wreck and this mess. Suddenly, Felthran's eyes come back. Felthran, you're hanging upside down. Your blood is leaking from your body. And as you crane your neck to look down, you see the DragonWagon completely smashed up this cliffside, flames gently burning in the night of Avernus. How do you respond?
He's gonna look down at his friends, and he's just gonna say, "Help me."
Why? What? Can anybody tell me why was he in the backseat eating his friend like it was KFC's? Because I never. If it's something about something taking him over, there is a way to fix that. Though, it's gonna be unpleasant.
Make an insight check, Zarion, since you asked.
So this is gonna be a 9.
A 9. You believe there might be a cure. There might be a means to end this, but at the moment, the sheer disorientation, the racking pain causes you to elude your answer. Nevertheless, the card has been played that there might be a cure. Bramble, you and Garandan are responding to this situation. How does it appear?
I don't know what to do with him. Can Morden help? Can Lathander help?
Certainly ask, but this is tricky. You remember the Knolls, right? Zarion, you weren't there yet. What was the name of that thing that big Knoll served?
Yinagu?
Oh, that guy again. With the...
When you say that word, Bramble, Felthran's body begins seizing up a little bit as if he's been tased. Garandan.
Zarion, do you know anything of Yinagu or of cursed people?
Zarion, you know Yinagu has been the primary source of the antagonist of the Blood War. The gnolls and the demons have spilled forth from the river Styx, raiding cities in Avernus, giving the devils to fight. Yinagu, the demon lord, seeks nothing but to eat until there is nothing left in all the universe except his bloated belly.
Yeah, I know that guy. What's gotta happen is we are going to have to kill Yinagu in order to save your friend Feltrhan. Is Yinagu like life attached to Feltrhan? Is his life attached to his? I mean, if I kill Yinagu, Feltrhan dies?
Trying to remember all the religion and the way these things work, it does appear that Yinagu has been directly speaking to Felthran. Taking on the demon lord himself would possibly end Felthran's life as well at this point, unless you were able to cure the abyssal corruption that is linking them together. And Zarion, at this point, you've strived, you have tried, but you just can't seem to remember the cure for this kind of corruption. It's evading you completely.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I've came across the same problem a very, very long time ago, and I can't really remember. We've cured it before, but I can't remember where or when it happened.
Garandan will reach across and touch Zarion. You will remember, brother, and the time is right. He'll cast guidance, try and give him a little hint, kind of delve deeper.
Bramble's saying that Zarion is struggling to recount any kind of cure that would be in Avernus, and he might have the best chance at remembering that anyway, but then again, maybe not. Nevertheless, The darkness continues to permeate this area. You feel that save for this cliff wall, you are exposed in this area. Felthran continues to hang there, silently, quietly crying out, "Help me." Momentarily seizing back into the corruption and just snapping his jaw, clamping at anything within reach.
Is the buggy catch fire?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a nice, beacon too.
Yeah.
Things are about to get even darker if we can't find a way to get some shelter. I don't know that we can get him down. I don't know that that's safe for us. But I don't know that we can stay here either.
Felthran, how do you respond?
Well, I think Felthran, not Felthran or Felthran as Felthran, either way, his goal is going to be to get closer to you guys. So you said at this moment he's feeling a little possessed?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to hear Felthran grunt, and then you're going to hear him moan, and what you're going to see is the spikes slowly disappearing into his body. And the next thing you're going to hear is a thud as he falls on the hood of the DragonWagon. How far is the fall?
It's 20 feet, so...
Should I?
Yeah.
You want to roll the damage? You want me to?
Yeah, 8 points of bludgeoning damage. Boom! Felthran lands upon this hood, just sending you into shock, startling your conversation back and forth. Felthran is now hostile.
He's going to start crawling as well as he can towards whoever's closest to him.
And you can see the bits of leather from his ale skin still stuck between his teeth as he crawls toward each of you maniacally. This situation looks darker and deadlier and seemingly without hope. And as you rack your brains trying to find a way to resolve this situation, to help your friend, Zarion seems to be trying to conjure up memories that he's had in the past, but instinctively he steps back at this point. Garandan, you and then Bramble should have some kind of response.
I can try one more thing, and if it doesn't work, then we're gonna have to knock him out, spare the dying, and take him with us. You're with me?
Whatever it takes.
Yep.
So Garandan will get down his hands and knees. He will, again, as Felthran's crawling towards him, just look at him pleadingly with his eyes to come back, and crying out to Moradin for his lost son. And as soon as he gets close enough, grab his beard one last time, give him a giant headbutt, and cast Greater Restoration. And if I need to, I can go up to an 8th level spell to try and just bash some Felthran back into him.
You tell me what level spell you're going to cast.
I use the 8th.
Okay. Garandan, as you smash your head into him, simultaneously calling upon Moradin's strength. Bramble, you've seen him call upon Lathander, but it seems like during this time, the name of Moradin has been more often on this dwarf's lips. As the two dwarves collide heads in absolute stubborn love, Felthran's body goes slack and he goes unconscious. Garandan, your head is sore. Minus the 8th level spell, you know that it has not worked. Nevertheless, it has subdued Felthran long enough until you can discover the cure for abyssal corruption.
He always did have a hot head.
Bramble, knowing that you are a beacon here with this cliffside, you look over to the distance and you see that you have reached your destination. For in your periphery, the stench of bloody scabs, not from the DragonWagon, for everything has been consumed and burnt up, but this large mound of blood and scab and swamp seems to grow and bog up out of the ground, and a single plume of sulfur exudes from this volcanic top like a crater. Yipping and howling, The sounds of hyenas, gnolls, and maw demons seem to be present. And the power of demons surrounds this citadel, once a celestial site. For this is indeed the location where Bell indicated you would find the sword, Angel Strike. There is an entrance into this citadel, but you see that if anyone should be spotted by these demons and these gnolls parading around in some ritualistic dance, seemingly caught up in the celebration of Yenigu, you would be spotted. And no doubt be chased as vigilant as Felthran has chased you. Given that your objective, and now with this setback of Felthran's incapacitation and Garandan's injuries and the loss of your wagon, how do you proceed?
Do either of you have any way to tie him up? I know a rope wouldn't do it. Are there chains?
I have hold person as a spell.
And that would be, you would have to keep casting that over and over again. You would look for something a little more longer restrained, but I will look that up real quick. Keep thinking of ideas.
Garandan would raise an eyebrow to Hey. Hey, remember when that unicorn just disappeared until you said, could you do that to our buddy?
Interesting. I believe that might
It is.
work. I believe that would work.
What was the
Hey.
time limit on that?
8 hours. So given that Hay could cast etherealness as a resource for 8 hours and send Felthran into the ethereal plane, I would look for consensus from the party before we made that motion.
I think we need to rest. I think we're gonna need all of our strength for what lies ahead.
Well, all of our strength is right there lying on the floor.
That's true.
I don't have any other way to restrain him.
It's just too strong.
Yeah.
So given that Felthran would not be tangible upon this spell casting, where would you be your final resting place for the next 8 hours?
Probably somewhere along the cliff, but well away from the fireball, or where that happened.
You have two options. You can go away from the bleeding citadel, or you can go closer to. And then I would ask someone to make a survival check to find the correct location.
Well, Garandan, with his lay of the land and, knowing this kind of area, would ask Bramble for the map and kind of feel it out. I think he would want to move a little bit further away because I don't know if they might be able to sense any kind of residual from Felthran of their null leadership, and he would like to take the party.
Zarion, a thought occurs to you. You suddenly remember this cliffside. You spent most of your childhood here, and you know that within a walking distance is the lair of Red Ruth, your old nanny.
Oh, God.
That is also in consideration.
Well, we can go to her lair. My old mistress. I don't know if she still feels sour. If I go there, I don't know how she feels when she sees me. But considering the circumstances, she may be able to help me remember how to cure your friend Felthran.
Zarion, I'm starting to not trust the women in your life.
Please don't tell me. At this point, we don't have much of a choice at this point. I really wish that were the case, but with Felthran in the conditions he's in right now, and the condition all of us is in right now, that may be the best option so I can get an idea of how we can bring him back. It's going to be tough if she's anything close to Mad Maggie, I guarantee you. It's going to be
Moving
tricky.
forward without Felthran would be almost impossible. So
We have a destination then.
Zarion, without any need, you remember the way. So, between Hay, Bramble, and Garandan, you all carry Felthran, making possibly a makeshift sled out of the DragonWagon sidecar door. Perhaps the sidecar flew off in the debris and acts as a sort of stretcher that you can propel and roll along. Felthran, for now, you are unconscious. And Garandan, you're able to walk despite the stinging pain in your leg, but you can feel the healing beginning to course back through your right leg as your bone begins to form back in place. A small cluster of trees appears in the distance. These trees are not completely petrified, but they are moving and swaying as if a wind gently moves around them. This darkness, this cover, moves all about you. This darkness seems to creep in all around you. Zarion, you know this place, and you know how to knock on the front door. So, how do you approach?
I set everybody down. I tell everyone to wait here. I walk up to the door. I bang on it as hard as I possibly can. 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. It's me, Zarion.
And there is no answer. The lights are out. It's very quiet. Bramble, you can see that there's some footprints of an old woman that have left away from the hut. Small little wisp of a a small little dryad clings to your leg, Garandan, and begins to just gyrate on your calf. It looks up at you like a small little puppy dog and then just bounces off and scampers, going into a hole leading into the home. You have some questions about this scene, Bramble. What are they?
Can I tell how old the tracks are?
Very fresh, as if they had just left today.
And they go as far as I can see in the darkness?
Towards the Bleeding Citadel. Garandan, you have some questions about this scene.
Garandan's wondering if would it be like, like a 3 bears situation, Goldilocks, if we went in and they tried the porridge.
You see the window is unlocked. Felthran, we have a moment where you retain consciousness just for a little bit. You see yourself, you're lying on your back in this small little car. Hay is close by, just head in his hands, mourning at this horrible thing that has just happened. So Felthran, you look up in the darkness and you have a moment to just spend a little bit of time muttering some words, gently moving. At the doorstep of Auntie Redruth, how do you proceed? And to what do we see?
You see Felthran. Well, you hear Felthran just very quietly. Maybe you can't even understand it, but what he's saying is, Morden. He got me. Morden. I need your protection. Morden, he's in me. Please help. Please help.
Garandan, you heard that. Zarion, as you stand there at this unanswered door, how do you resolve this situation?
So far, I'm knocking on the door. She's not answering. Felthran's mumbling something. I go towards the window and open the window to look inside to see what's going on. So I go to the side, open the window and peek inside.
And it seems at this point that nobody is home.
Well, we can crash here. If the old lady is gone, we can crash here and wait for a rest period. She may not like it, but this might be the safest place we can be. If she dwells here, she might be at the Citadel. Maybe a while before she gets back. Get some rest, eat, figure out what to do with Felthran.
Door cracks open, creaking loudly in the darkness. You drag Felthran inside and set him down at the nearest place. It has a certain fairy-like quality, many remnants of the Feywild. As you can assume, Red Ruth, like her sister, Granny Nightshade, were both one day from the Feywild, now here in Avernus, with themes of devil skulls and demon heads hanging upon the wall, as well as a couple pixies trapped in single bird cages. Spell components and jars and bubbling cauldrons in the corner, and a small stairway leading down, down, down into the cellar. You find yourself at a place of rest here in the hamlet of Red Ruth. And so for now, our story concludes. I did not expect that.
That was tight. Real tight.
That was just seat of our pants, like literally.
The dice do what the dice do.
Yeah, that was interesting. Great timing, and the wheels literally went off the campaign.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got a couple stars. Great responses to a pretty chaotic scene, and I gotta just say, Ted, great job. That is a very hard role to play. Combined with acting completely out of character, not to mention not really getting to play that much during the game and still holding the ground. Stepping up when needed. So I want to appreciate you for that, because that was a big role to play. Thank you for listening, Sojourners. Make sure to listen to Next Adventure in a Fortnight, where we find out the cure for Felthran Grove lore. Thank you to Tabletop Audio for their wonderful background sounds and ambience, including their new Blighted Forest. You can check them out at www.tabletopaudio.com. May your story continue.